Welcome to Library Grindhouse. The only ticket you need is your library card. I'm Jesse.
And I'm Leah, and today we'll be reviewing the 1997 cult classic, Jack Frost.
Oh yeah, so if you ever visited a video store in the 90s, you could not escape this box art. I mean, this tape must have been so cheap because everyone had it. Blockbuster, the mom and pop shops, it was everywhere. It must have been like $1.95 or even free with like purchase or something like that. It was crazy. Anyway, so we start off with an off-screen British dude, an Uncle Henry, I guess, talking to someone with a high-pitched chipmunk voice who was ostensibly his niece or something. She wants a story. He asks,
"You want a happy story, or do you want a scary story?"
She wants,
"I want a happy, scary story."
Which perfectly matches her voice, which is happy and scary.
A little bit.
A little bit.
Yes. Now, I enjoy the credits as Christmas tree ornaments.
Yes.
That was awesome. So we keep panning around the tree, and we see, like, you know...
That's very 90s-esque, too. Like...
But it was really cool.
No,
I
love it. No, I love it. But that's what I mean. It was almost a nostalgic.
Almost like it was 80s. It was almost a throwback even then.
True.
I feel like
it's
more like an 80s thing, or even earlier, of just, like... Christmas, a mise en place or whatever, credits of like...
Yeah, they don't do that anymore.
I know.
And also, it wasn't like, you know, you do the credits before the movie, and sometimes it'll go on long. You just hear this, like, overarching, lulling music. It wasn't. You heard this uncle and this little kid.
He's telling the story of a dude named Jack Frost who would go town to town to places that needed social pruning, blend in, kill a bunch of people, move on, do it again, and he always got away.
They said he was like he was invisible.
So he could be a ghost or something, to walk through walls or something. And the niece gets more and more squeamish as the tale goes on. So we're, you know, so at least helps you get through these opening credits. It's pretty funny.
Well, I love it when he goes, but it's okay. He's going to be executed at midnight.
Yeah, so
and it's midnight now.
And that's when the fun begins. So yeah, go to bed, have sweet dreams.
Yeah, and I'm like, why? You just told this little girl like about this mass murder. Time to go to bed. Like what?
Uncle Henry for the win. Anyway.
I wish I could be like Uncle Henry.
Now, yeah, so it's like, great job, Uncle Henry nailed it. And now the movie begins, and I love to believe, I had this thought like right then of just like, oh my gosh, this is like going to be like, this is supposed to be that girl's crazy fever dream.
Ooh,
is what this movie
I didn't even
is.
think about
and that's why it's kind of kooky and Looney Tunes and like this little kid logic of just like, that's what's gonna happen. Of like, this is this little girl's like fever dream after her uncle traumatizes her with this scary story. I was just like, if you look at the movie this way, it adds a whole other level of just like greatness.
I wish I would have thought of that. Daggone it.
Well, you're gonna have to rewatch the movie again now.
That's so
it's like,
good.
because it's like, then it's just like, oh, this is great. Like, I wish there was like a framing device of like, it starts with like a push into like something, and then it cuts to that or something.
Yeah.
And it's like, did you sleep well, sweetheart, or something like that. Like even just something like that, like on off screen, like something where we cut back to like that, but it's daylight now. Like.
That's so good. It's a missed opportunity on my part.
And then like it pans out to the yard and Jack Frost is in their
there.
front lawn.
Ooh, that'd been
like
so good.
How good would that have been? Like that's all they need. That's the only thing this movie needs is just like, yeah, that framing device, and then it pans out to the yard and we see Jack Frost there, the snowman guy. Like that would have been that's the one thing that could have made this movie a little better.
I at first thought that Uncle Henry was actually Jack Frost.
I did have that thought because he seemed a little crazed.
Yeah, I was like, okay, so maybe he is
just
Jack
like,
Frost.
Oh no!
Yeah, I know. And that was such a weird.
Like, oh, but wait, it's a good little girl. This is like, I'm just like, whoa, dude, slow your roll, Uncle Henry.
He could have been Clucifer.
Clucifer here.
He was Clucifer-esque.
Yeah, he was very Clucifer-esque.
He's Clucifer-esque, yes. Oh my gosh. Now the movie begins, and we pan to like the state executional transfer vehicle. That's again where I'm just like, oh my gosh, this is her dream, because it's totally like a kid way of like the state executional.
Like nobody has that on the side of their.
No, but executional is like not even a word. Yeah. Like I'm just like, this is totally like a little kid word of like what you think a prison transport would be, the executional transport. I was like, oh, I'm right. Yes, I'm right.
Did we mention that this was both of our first time watching this?
Yes.
So like. This hardly ever happens when both of us have never seen this movie, and you're obviously going to see that we're super giddy about this movie, like super giddy about it. Oh my
gosh! And they crossed the Snowmanton County line. I mean, this movie.
I did not see that.
This movie, yeah, Snowmington is the town. The town is Snowmington. I'm like, this is this little girl's dream. I love this so much.
You're seriously
it's
right.
Because this is such a kid. It's Snowmington County, Snowmington County, and yeah, the executional transfer. I'm like,
and it's just before midnight when she was supposedly falling asleep.
Like so right.
You are very right. You are right.
And all they needed to do was like to make that crystal clear, and then have Jack Frost in the front yard, like, and the scream or something like that, and like this movie would have been like off the charts perfect.
There are sequels to this, so you never know.
I don't really want to ruin the movie by going to the sequels.
I might watch the sequels.
We'll see. But anyway, so yeah.
Well, this Jack Frost guy, first of all, he almost parallels Jack Nicholson's character in The Shining. I think he looks a little bit like Jack Nicholson. If you like tilt your head, close one eye, and jump up and down a little bit, he looks like Jack Nicholson. And he has
an Eric Freeman thing.
He has his eyes, like you know how Jack Nicholson has those crazed eyes in The Shining.
Yeah.
He does that really well, also.
Yeah, we only see him for a little while. But I hear ya. Yeah. And so like they're driving in a snowstorm. They literally have one windshield wiper, and both people are looking out of this little spot cleared in the snow.
Like clearing the window for him, and it looks like he's using what's it called? Like steel wool to do it. Did you know? Like,
I didn't notice that. I was just laughing. Like you only have one windshield wiper on this transport, and you're both like heads next to each other, peeking out. Like
a killer in it, obviously at all times.
And you see it cutting to snow, just like snow and blackness coming at them. I'm like, okay, so it's a whiteout condition. Which, oh my gosh, I mean, if you've never driven a whiteout, like it's one of the most terrifying things ever. Yeah. And then, genetic research truck coming the other way.
And it says genetic research on the side again too.
I'm
like just blanket.
It's such a 6-7-year-old girl like thinking of like cartoon stuff.
And I love how they do like the full on like crash scene where it's like, oh no.
And the camera's rotating, and obviously they're Star Trekking it real hard. And just like, oh no, we're rotating, we're flying around.
This is also one of those movies that knew what it was going to be and knew what it was, and they just played into it, which is perfect.
Which again is not easy to do.
Yeah, like, it's not.
Yeah. And so so they crash. He killed the guy in the back first, which is weird that didn't contribute to the crash at all. Like
he just killed the random security guard who was watching him.
He was gonna choking out the driver, and that's when they drive into the genetic research. But no, they just had a head-on collision anyway.
He just felt like killing him.
Yeah, and so then like we see like there's a fire, and it's like raising the temperature in the truck, and we see that it's also acidic. Apparently, this genetic research. I didn't know genetic research could be acidic.
I don't know.
Apparently, question mark. But anyway,
it just flies up in the doors and like spews at him.
This is gonna hurt.
Yeah, it pops out, and allegedly it's just like a little like gas tank size little hole that just squirts right out. Because I thought the security guard was going to get it
I thought it was going to blow up and I
thought security guard, was going to get it either in the explosion or the acid was going to hit him, and he was just going to dissolve on the street or something. Like, But no, he watches Jack literally get hit with it, and some good gnarly special effect makeup of him like dissolving,
he,
good
like,
face
fully
melt.
dissolves, almost melts down.
And then he's a skeleton in the snow, and then we see it's like red in the snow. Don't eat red snow.
and then like the red snow turns into
it's just snow.
Well, it turns into like a stick print.
Yeah.
Which I thought was a really cool touch, like a snowman arm stick print.
Yeah, I mean his body it becomes skeleton, then it becomes like the red splotches, and then the red goes away, and so there's just like this stick shape kind of thing, like of his bones or something, and then it all disappears, and then it's just a roiling, obvious blanket of snow roiling.
Just rolling away. Yeah, and then the security guy is just still standing there.
Right.
Like, not knowing what's going on.
And then it goes into a cartoon of like blood cells. I was like, oh no, we're gonna get like a Mr. DNA or like Christmas special like thing of like him turning into Jack Frost animated style. I was like, that would be amazing.
I was just like, this is like Twilight. Like, I was like, this is when Bella got bitten and her entire blood just turned into
I thought it was gonna go into a whole like little animated sequence of like
this
Mr.
is what
DNA,
your DNA is.
like combining with the snowflakes or something. That's another touch that would just make this just a little. This movie's great, but this would just
totally
been next level. So Sheriff, who got lucky and caught Jack Frost in the first place, has been having nightmares about him because Jack basically screamed at him multiple times and wrote him ransom notes, as we'll find out later, saying,
I'll find a way! I'll tear your town apart!
Come back.
He was going to get him,
To destroy his town, kill his family, etc.
Obliterate him.
And then so then he and his wife and their child
drive through the crime scene, which is weird that
come across it.
Yeah, he like stops and he doesn't mention that he's the sheriff. of the
he
town.
mentioned he says, I'm the local, and they're like, yeah, move on.
Move on. This is an FBI matter.
But I mean, he wasn't in his police car, so I don't.
I know, but still, I thought that was weird. Like, he would at least be like, oh, we're only, what did he say? We're like 5 miles or 20 minutes from town or something like that.
Yeah,
like,
something
you'd think
like
he'd
that.
be like, no, seriously, what's going on? Especially since he sees the executional transit car right there. Like, what? But anyway.
And then his son's like, touch my finger, touch my knee, thank the Lord it wasn't me. I haven't heard that one before. It's like kind of a hex against, having that happen to him or something. Then the FBI agent guy shows up and goes to talk to the security guard, and he's like,
Let's you and me take a little midnight stroll.
and then the guard reaches up his hand like he's a lady to be taken up for the walk, and like help him up, and they're gonna hold hands while they walk and talk. I thought that was such a great dry humor. You could choose to see it or not. Like, it wasn't in your face. I love, like, he just kind of has the hand of just like, help me up, sir.
And the guy just walks away. Yeah. Like, he just pays no attention.
The guard is like, we're gonna have a midnight stroll. And I just really love that there's just that kind of it's kind of subtle. There's nothing subtle about this movie, but then there are parts where I'm just like, that's a really subtle little kind of like early like airplane Naked Gun style kind of joke that I appreciate. You don't really see that anymore.
Yeah, no, they did a very good job.
Anyway, so I like the sheriff that he humbly admits that he was in the right place at the right time, which was the truth. Like, he literally, like, this guy was pulled over to pee in the woods, and he asked him for his license registration, and it turns out it was Jack Frost.
Yeah, and he was acting kind of shady, so he ended up,
he ended up having to arrest him, and it turns out it's Jack Frost.
I will say, Mr. Sheriff, Sam, right? His first name's Sam? I call him Sheriff. Yeah, I call him Sheriff too. He definitely has some very good intuition. Even throughout the movie, you can tell, like, his intuition is trying to tell him something.
Sure.
So I feel like that's what happened with Jack. Like, right place, right time, peeing in the woods. You know what I mean? He was already pulled over, checking out the scene. Brief question,
like, I just need your license registration. Nothing, not a huge question. Not
Jack
a big deal.
acted really weird. Yeah. I hate the fact, like, before Jack puts his arms up on his head, he he pokes him out. And the guy still doesn't pull the trigger. Like, you know what I mean?
That's what we'd expect from a police officer. Yeah. And we know, unfortunately, it doesn't happen a lot. But anyway,
but like he stares at him, and then Jack just has that, like, yet again, that Jack Nicholson, the shining, weird grin.
But the sheriff restrains himself and is like, proves that he can handle a really stressful situation like that without it escalating. And I'm like, wow, that's a really level, calm head you've got there.
He seems like a nice small town cop who just has really good intuition, right place, right time, dealt with the serial killer.
I mean, but then the intuition, his son's cooking him some kind of gruel, I guess oats is what they call it. And his dad has him ladle this hot gruel into a plastic
bag.
baggie.
I noticed that too.
That's not a good idea.
Well, and it looks like this like gruel. It literally looks like dirt pie with like chocolate.
This kid's like 8.
But it's really sweet though. He is trying to help his dad.
If he was like 4, I could understand this, but at 8, I'm just like, dude, like
maybe he's just bored.
I don't know. It's sweet. I mean, this kid's sweet, but I get that he's also not the brightest tool in the shed.
He could also be pandering for some Christmas presents.
I don't know, but I mean, this kid, luckily, he comes through with what he did, but I'm just like, oh my gosh, you almost murdered your dad.
Yeah.
Anyway, we'll get there. But anyway, so we find out that there's a snowman competition on Christmas Day, or whatever. I thought that it was like Christmas Eve, but I guess it's not.
I got
the idea that it was like, anyway, there's going to be a snowman competition. The kid wants to make a snowman for it, and I mean, usually people take weeks to build something like that, right?
Yeah,
That it's like, this is like a big deal. Like, you are literally like doing this for like a month if but then again, Christmas, usually it wouldn't freeze enough. You'd want to do that competition in like January.
And it didn't look like they had a lot of snow on the ground either, which is weird because I was like, where'd you get all the snow?
Oh, we'll get there with the credits, but there's a credit to no snow.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, no, I saw that. Weird weather events.
Flash flood, no snow. So obviously they
that.
had some trials and tribulations making this movie.
Making it, but...
Anyway, so a woman says that when she was little, she wanted to be the angel on top of the Christmas tree. And was that the woman who got the Christmas tree thing later? Okay, because I was going to say, well, that's going to come back.
Yep.
I was like, if Jack Frost is the hidden snowman, then she'll like to get her wish, because I thought he was what was under that tarp.
I thought so, too.
Guess not.
Well, and the was it Joe or Jill? I couldn't catch her name. Everybody said her name. There's a younger girl... Or like the daughter of
the older
whatever.
daughter?
Yeah, an older daughter. And like she's peeking under to see the snowman. And I thought that was also kind of a missed opportunity because they had all of these snowmen there. And I was like, ooh, one of them's going to be Jack and no one's going to know.
Yeah, I don't know why they didn't play with that more.
Yeah, they didn't
very small, lame snowmen.
Yeah, they didn't really bring that up. So, but anyway.
And then we get what's the difference between snowmen and snowwomen? I mean, that was a nice dad joke right there. I appreciated the dad joke of that.
a
was pretty
lot
funny.
of dad jokes and puns, which is one of my favorite things in life. So I think
I was
that
like,
might have
Leah's gonna
added.
appreciate this.
I loved it.
Yeah. This and the movie Fallen with Denzel Washington have the whole serial killers on death row finding a way to come back thing going on. But Jack Frost beat it by a few months.
Really?
Fallen with
Okay.
Denzel came out in January of '98. This came out in the fall of '97. So I guess you could say time was on its side, which is featured in Fallen. So anyway. So I really like the dad. He throws out the bag of gruel, but thinks better of it. He goes to get it out of the trash, which I'm just like, I can't do that to my son, even though he'd never know. It's like, I'm not gonna do that. Which good thing he didn't. But
Instead,
anyway.
I'll just throw it in the back of my cop car for it to spoil and rot back there. But at least the kid will see it and knows that I carry it around with me.
But and then he walks in the thing, and I guess the secretary looks morose, and he's just like, "Did somebody die or something?" And the secretary holds up a note with the words "Someone died" on it.
And when he walks in, she is blow drying her shirt.
That's what I thought.
And not
okay.
her hair. Like, she's like blow drying. And I was like, so is she cold? Do people just have blow dryers at their desk to blow dry themselves instead of like
I
a
guess
little
they're setting it up
personal
for
heater?
later. Why there was a blow dryer there?
I don't know, but she's like not even blow drying her hair. It's like she's blow drying her
I
sweater.
didn't catch that because I was too blown away. I think I was taking notes, and then that joke with the note saying someone died. I was just like, this is Naked Gun. I love this. But
I love the fact too that the garland at the police station. Did you see it around the door? It's caution, do not enter tape, like the yellow
I didn't
tape,
see
but they have
that.
like hole punches out of it to like make it look Christmassy.
Oh my gosh,
But they're
that's
using
so
it for
great.
garland. I was like,
oh, that's a good touch.
I want to do that. Like, that's wonderful.
Yeah, so at this point I'm just like, this isn't a good movie. This is a great movie, to
It
paraphrase Junk Food Cinema there. So a man is frozen to death and looks like his head was snapped back. And they were pretty good makeup effects. That was a gnarly looking effect. I was like, wow, this is pretty good.
It was an old man just literally laying
just-
there, but his neck was almost at a complete.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Like it was definitely not an accident. So the sheriff calls the FBI and confirms Jack Frost is dead. However, the FBI is apparently on it. In on it, excuse me.
It's just a shame that your guinea pig had to be a homicidal maniac like Jack Frost, who I now have to put back in the test tube.
So I guess they're working with genetic research, develop an acidic mutation liquid question mark?
So that was the other thing too. So the guy he called, you can obviously tell that he is nefarious in nature. And his name is Mr. Manners, which I was like, Mr. Manners doesn't have manners.
But I thought it was more along the lines of like, I am a federal agent, you are a podunk sheriff. I thought it was that kind of thing. I thought it was more of a William Atherton thing instead of like a Machiavellian like, we are developing this thing and I'm a mercenary working for you.
It could have been, but I was just like, why was he the first one that answered the phone when he called the FBI and was transferred over to him? Why would it be transferred over to this guy who is like a mercenary type character?
Yeah, I don't know.
Did he like intercept the phone call? That's true.
Yeah, or it's like, I don't know. And maybe he's under, I don't know. Yeah, it's one of those things where maybe this is on the side and he works for the FBI, but this is on the side and he's like, or maybe they like rerouted his phone so that, he thinks he's dialing the feds, but he's really dialing him.
Could just be a bad agent too, or,
Yeah. So, or that the FBI wants him to work on this, but he's working on it off the books.
Maybe. But they do.
The CIA, whatever he is.
The police officers who found the old man, they're befuddled because they're like, there's no footprints, there's no blood, there's no vehicle tracks, there's nothing.
And the man's snapback was done by someone wearing a mitten or a glove.
Mitten, which I want to know how they knew that. But
so great, we got the catcher's mitt killer. Well, because it was like, there's no, like, you'd think there'd be like contusions or like finger indentations or something. But there was no like, it was like someone snapped his head back with a pillow. Why don't they say pillow or something?
I don't know.
It could have like been like a smother situation where it's like you push hard. I don't know. I don't know how this works, but
I don't know either.
I don't care because I'm like mitten. Oh, it's Jack Frost because it was snow. Like it was a snow hand. Oh, like it was one of those things where But anyway, so the whole FBI is in on this thing. It's a huge coincidence, but I'm gonna allow it.
Yeah.
So the dead man. Okay, so we got the glove thing. Sheriff's bolting his door, and the medical examiner will be dragging a dresser in front of his door. I'm just like, well, at least they're like gonna try to be prepared.
But
they're not like they're taking it seriously.
They don't tell hardly anyone in the town at first.
No, but they're like, well, we're gonna take precautions.
Yeah, we're number one. But then you.
But like they're gonna do something. I mean, that's where it's like just like, oh, they're not like just thinking this is a crackpot thing or a one-off. Like they just be like, it's just one guy. Why are you getting bent out of shape?
They said it was the first murder that's ever happened in their town. So I feel like they're like, something's up. And then it flashes over to his house which you already see a large snowman in the yard.
I missed the snowman, but I actually saw the snowman cam following the kid. Like I didn't see the snowman.
Yeah,
but...
you see a huge snowman in the yard, which I was like, daggone, how'd that kid build it? Because he was asking his mom to build a snowman to begin with.
Yep.
And then the mom comes in and she's like, you built a really large snowman. And the kid just goes, I didn't build a snowman. So immediately I was
they're
like,
not like dun dun dun.
yeah,
We
immediately
are,
like,
but
ooh,
yeah, it's
oh
like,
no.
but.
And then she goes, but he needs some facial features. Go out there and help him. This kid, which I thought was really adorable and kid-like, he grabs like this snowman like mitten thing.
And it's like for reference.
Yeah, he's like staring at like, okay, the eyes do go here.
I'm just like,
and
you know what a
here.
snowman looks like,
And yeah,
right?
I guess that is
like,
a carrot for the nose.
It's such a Naked Gun, like old school parody joke that I loved it
wonderful.
so much. I'm just like, where are these jokes again? I'm
was
just
wonderful.
like it's observational. You have to like kind of understand what's going on. Like it's absurd. It's like absurd.
Yes.
Like we need a little bit more absurdity. Like where is that?
Well, and then when so the kid, does the eyes, does the nose. I did not see him put on the expressionable eyebrows, but there are some expressionable eyebrows.
Yeah. Maybe when the head got knocked off, it got hit to sticks or something.
But you see him like do this with his hand to get in the mouth. He's putting a mouth groove.
And the teeth grow.
Well, the entire time I'm like, oh my gosh, he's gonna get his fingers bit off. Like it's really cringy. It does a good job.
With the teeth, I'm like, he doesn't feel the ice.
Yeah, he doesn't feel anything.
Weird.
So at first I thought like maybe the teeth were trying to grow and he like dusted it off. I don't know.
Maybe.
But then down with the bullies. Bullies come up and start poking fun at him.
Right.
And I don't know how does
let's see here.
Jack get decapitated? So I don't know if they pushed him into they pushed the little boy into the snowman, but somehow the snowman's head falls off.
The bully, I thought the bully.
Or he hits it with the sled. That's it.
Yeah, the bully knocks off the head, and but before he goes out to do the snowman thing, the kid's baking cookies. This kid needs to not be allowed in the kitchen. This kid's a menace. Like, I thought the cookies might come back, but my goodness, they gotta not let this kid in the kitchen because he's just destroying it. She's like, I just cleaned up after your oats. And it's just like, lady, this kid needs to be cut off. Like, you need to unplug the stove, something.
He's out of school. He's bored.
I guess, but that's a fire risk. There's all kinds of things going on. Obviously, what he's putting into these things, not food.
Why was he home alone, too? She's carrying in groceries. He's home alone and cooking on the stove. That's a big no-no.
I mean, I guess in the 90s, it was still you leave the kid at home thing, latchkey kid kind of thing or something. So, yeah.
Used to make
so,
eggs.
now, we cut back also, the people are panicking in the sheriff's office, and it's like, hey, it's on the outskirts of town, and everyone's just like, we all live on the outskirts of town. I'm just like, how can everyone live on the outskirts of town? Like, the town can't just be all outskirts.
Well, and the thing is that they're always like the snow, like they're trapped in because of the snow or all of that stuff. Like, oh, you can't even get on the highway.
Well, that's later,
You're not from here. But they all live on the outskirts of town. So how are they in the center of the town if there's a huge snowstorm that can't even let people in on the highway?
I don't
what?
know. And they all live on the outskirts. Yeah, I don't know. And then I like the line.
Luckily for you, Joe, the power to cloud men's minds is a responsibility I take very seriously.
I was like, that's kind of, I don't know why I thought that was fun.
No, it is.
But anyway, so the kid puts face on Jack Frost with a snowman puppet on Stanford reference. I mean, this movie is brilliant.
It is.
The bully tripped by Jack Frost. So basically, Jack Frost somehow trips the bully. His hand, like you see, like I think a shot briefly of like the hand. Now, granted, they had no money for this movie, obviously, which leads to a lot of its charm. But like they couldn't animate a hand moving, so they kind of cut to the hand, and then I guess that we're supposed to assume that knocks the kid over.
Yeah.
And somehow the sled is just rolling down the street, and cuts his head off. Which I'm like, that wouldn't happen. But that's another reason why you stick to plastic sleds.
Yeah.
You don't need the iron rail sleds. They're just an accident, finger loss, arm off, head off thing waiting to happen.
Absolutely. Make this be. We're trying to help you out.
Yes. Don't have those.
Just get the plastic toboggan things.
They work fine.
Yeah. It's great.
Most of them work great.
Or plastic, garbage bag too works fine.
Something.
Some
just
vegetable oil on the.
Not a metal desk slide.
Yeah. No more metal desk slides.
Yes. Anyway, so Tyler, the kid's getting blamed for it. Man, those parents come hard at him, which I'm just like, wow.
A kid just died. I will say, though, I thought it was pretty funny where they show, like, the blood in the snow where the kid died, and someone just takes a shovel.
And puts a little bit of snow on top of the
just,
blood.
Just, like, sprinkles it, though. Like, there's still blood all over. And he just, like, that'll do. Walks away.
All done. My job here is done. Yeah. And so Sheriff is looking at the ransom notes from Jack saying, I'll find a way, which I love. got like multiple of these things.
So
I'm just like, and it's like from Jack. So it's just like, why are they ransom notes? Like he's writing them from prison.
Yeah, why does he have to cut out
like do that? It's so weird.
I'm glad that you said that because in my mind, I was thinking that was like he was writing notes while he was on his killing spree as actual Jack and not sending them to him. So I was just like, how did this guy who just like happened upon him have his like evidence case?
Yep.
I don't get that. So that makes a lot of sense. So you literally erased a question mark in my mind. I appreciate that.
Cool, you're welcome. Yeah, so the dryness of the humor in this movie is completely my bag. And I guess the sheriff isn't a good shot, according to the salt salesman. Like, multiple people say, like, you couldn't hit the broadside of a barn, essentially, which I didn't really play a whole lot with that. And it doesn't matter because this snowman can't be killed with conventional weapons. Anyway, so let's see. So Lily's dad,
One thing that I did want to say, just because, our last episode was about Anna the Apocalypse, a musical, the music in this movie is phenomenal.
I didn't notice it till the end, but
it is phenomenal. It is slow Christmas music that sounds haunting, but it is actual Christmas songs throughout the entire movie. Kudos to you, whoever did the music to this movie. It was perfect. Wonderful. I just had to say that.
Definitely at the end for sure, but yeah, it was unobtrusive and didn't make me mad throughout the movie and then made me actively happy at the end.
Yeah, it was great.
Yeah. So the bully's dad won't put lights on the tree because he's grieving, but he expects his wife Sally to make him a scarf?
Yeah. I don't understand that.
And then she's going to go make a pot of tea?
And the wife just seems to try and be, she seems a little overly happy-go-lucky, like a little out of it. But her son also just died, and he doesn't care about how she's feeling. He's just wallowing in his own grief and wants her to do everything for him.
I'm going to give you lights and make me a scarf while I'm waiting.
Yeah, and then they throw in, the daughter comes down to leave, and they throw in the whole religion thing, which I feel like, in horror movies, religion equals bad. He was like, this is a house of God. You don't do that.
I left here a long time ago. I'm like, this is heavy for
yeah, and I was
Jack
like,
Frost. But
what's going on? But then that was the end of it. That was the only thing that was said about it. And the daughter still ends up leaving.
Well, I think we know you're going off to have premarital sex. So, yeah, it's one of those things where it's like, what about God? And it's like, you raise a son who is a complete butthead. He didn't deserve to die.
Yeah,
but it's one of those things where
but
it's
still.
like, why are you being so hard on her? But anyway, so the snowman moves super fast. And also, it turns out that I didn't realize he could melt himself and reconstitute himself, which is brilliant because you don't have to animate him at all.
Yes.
You just have water coming through the doggy door, and that's all you need to do.
It's great, and I immediately thought, this is the 90s kid in me. I thought Alex Mack, I don't know, have you ever seen that?
I've heard of Alex
The Secret
Mack.
Road of Alex Mack from Nickelodeon. Yes. Literally, it's like a melted puddle of and then shift anyway, and then he can shoot and be back to be a snowman.
It is...
That was
Chef's kiss, it's great.
Wonderful.
Yes, is perfect. And yeah, this tree kill was pretty brutal. With the mom getting the face and the ornaments, I was just like, ooh, that's pretty nasty.
But they did do a good job. And yet again, the music. It was like Christmas mariachi music was going on in the background, and
I wasn't paying attention to that because I was so horrified by the pieces of ornaments sticking out of her face, and I was just like, oh gosh. That was, but she seemed like a sweet lady.
It was great, and then of course the light on top. Bloop.
Yeah, so he attaches her to the tree. I thought that the person she was gonna get speared on top of the tree, which that would have been much, but it was still brutal. And
then I thought that was funny too. So yeah, they mentioned the footprint, and then the scientists and the FBI guy have shown up now, and they're testing this footprint for whatever. And
that's how they find out that he can reconstitute himself and whatever somehow.
Yeah, but I love how when everyone's outside and they're talking, and is there a snowman outside then too? I don't remember.
It might have been. I don't remember either.
Well, before that, the dad also gets killed. We forgot about that. The dad gets killed by the snowman too, and he thinks it's somebody else standing outside, which is really funny. But Jack Frost ends up killing him, and he just goes,
shoving the entire axe handle down his throat.
What was his thing? Like, all I wanted was a cigarette or something. Like Jack Frost has these little one-liners. Sorry, I just kicked that. But I love how when they're carrying the mom out on the Christmas tree, they're out back and you could tell that they're cleaning up the crime scene. They don't put her in a body bag or anything. They just pick up the whole Christmas tree and they're carrying her, and you see the lady.
Line of you don't reckon we should leave her up for the 12 days of Christmas thing.
Yeah.
She's just like, what?
I was like, what is that? But yeah, they're just carrying the Christmas tree with the lady still attached in the background, and I'm like, yet again, another reason why to love this movie. Yeah. Little hidden things.
And the sheriff's like, does this mean the case is being taken out of my hands? And then the guy says, it was never in him, Sheriff. Because, the guy's showing up at his office, And and then I like the secretary, or the receptionist lady being like, "You're right the first time, Sam."
Yeah, he is a turd.
Yeah.
Expletive.
Expletive redacted. Anyway, so Jack Frost can freeze and unfreeze at any time, which is just perfect. Anyway,
Great, yeah.
So trying to get everyone gathered together in one place to announce the curfew, I thought for some reason like it was a mix between like they were going to be sequestering people here to keep them safe, but no, it was just to announce a curfew. After curfew?
See,
like,
I thought that all those people were there for the snowman reveal, for the snowman festivity. So they were all there because they were like, yeah, go sheriff. Like he was going to announce it. And then he was like, hey, actually, I'm just saying.
Oh, I missed that.
It's
I
a
missed that was supposed to be
curfew.
the thing. Oh,
Because there's also a
sense.
random cutscene of the priest going downstairs and lighting the furnace because everyone's cold.
Well, I thought he'd gathered everyone together for this announcement, and that they're gonna have and I was like, oh, so they're in the long haul, so we obviously want to get the furnace on, because you'd think the furnace would be all ready to go if this was the snowman thing, that
That's
this would already
true.
have been pre-warmed, not like, oh, surprise snowman event that we've been planning for months.
You think the snowman or the furnace would be on in general because it's apparently freezing outside and there's a huge snowstorm in there.
Well, that's why I thought it was a
freeze.
last minute thing of just like, we're going to gather everyone here to keep them safe. But then it's like, oh no, you're just going to announce the curfew? I don't know. I was really confused by it. But then Paul is outside, because he witnessed Jack Frost before he left.
Yeah.
He didn't get killed by him, but he saw the snowman and he talked to him. And so he knows what's going on a little bit now. So he's destroying snowmen outside.
Which I thought was really funny.
And the agent knocks him out because it's like, oh no, this guy's going to give it away.
Which, yeah, and no one does anything. I was like, especially the sheriff. So if you're a sheriff and a federal agent just goes up and this guy, like, obviously needs help and he just knocks him out, wouldn't you think that, like, light bulb or something, red flag, this agent is a bad guy.
He seems to have good, decent intuition, but I think the sheriff already gets that idea of just like, and then it's like, we're going to take him to the jail to like cool off. And
Exactly.
like,
and let him cool off. I
I'm
was
just
like,
I think Jack Frost will help him cool off is my thought. But yeah, so then poor Deputy Chris sent to check out Paul's place, and he's literally stopped by Jack Frost with a crossing guard stop sign.
Which I thought that he heard Paul talking about a killer snowman. So that should have already raised a red flag. Second, even if he didn't, there's obviously a killer on the loose and there's just a built snowman in the middle of the road with a stop sign. Why would you get out of your car? I would have ran over it. Like I would have either plowed it or gone around it or something. I would not have gotten out of the car.
Something. But then Jack Frost runs him over with his own car, so we get another
And I
running over thing.
love how he like seeps through the car.
Yep.
In his liquid form, and then he comes back up, and it was his like head turn and wave. Where I was
Right.
just like,
And
the
backs over him. Yeah.
The snowman too, which I haven't mentioned, it looks nothing like the cover of this box.
No, I know.
Which threw me off. I
know.
love how like cute
Even when
and
his mouth
cuddly.
opens, it's not like that.
No, but I love
Yeah.
how cute and cuddly
I know.
the snowman looks.
The box would be so much better if it was actually like the cuddly snowman with the teeth or something.
But maybe they did that because kids.
Oh no, I saw that box and I was like, ooh, this looks kind of gnarly, but also cheap. Like I just didn't want to watch it. Like, I don't know. And I guess they probably wanted to avoid the whole like getting banned like Silent Night, Deadly Night
That's
thing
true.
of just like, my kid wanted to see this because he thought it was a cute snowman movie. They wanted to make sure it's clearly horror. And it was also a lenticular box, or at least it was a version that was a lenticular box, or it was like a snowman, and then when you looked at it again, it was like a crazy face. So I think the original box, if I'm remembering correctly, was lenticular, so it was like, cute snowman, rah,
Crazy man.
two-face, like,
okay.
yeah.
Gotcha.
Yep. So anyway, Deputy Joe schools sheriff's wife about insulating pipes, because I thought it was Jack Frost coming into
I thought it was too
under the
because he
sink.
picked it up and it was an an icicle.
Right, and so, but it turns out she just had a burst pipe, which I'm like, already? Like their heat didn't seem to be out or anything like that. Like it takes a lot to freeze a pipe.
I don't know.
In my mind at least, but maybe not. Anyway, but I love how the deputy just keeps going on and on about like, all I have to do is this, and you tape this around this, and it's just like, wow, hey guy.
Yeah.
Okay, Bob Vila. Anyway, so Jill and Snowbabe Sculptor Tommy decide to fool around at the sheriff's house, but I'm just like,
Why would you
How
break
did you
into the
know?
sheriff's
Like,
house?
of all the places, like you knew this was a place you could go.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I get that you already had the set, so that's all I could think of.
But I will say, I do love the comic relief. As soon as they get in there, obviously you're thinking that they're gonna get down to business, and the music goes over, and they're taking off layer upon layer
100 layers
upon layer of
It's
clothes.
a Mel Brooks joke, actually.
It's great. Yet again, I love Mel Brooks. It's hysterical. And then they finally get down to like the last shirt, and she does like the slow 2-button
Right,
thing, and then she goes, actually, you need to build me a fire,
roaring
and bring
log
me
fire, and
a bottle of wine. Which I was like, this is the sheriff's house.
Right.
Why
How do you know
are
what
you-
he has, or does he have any logs for said
Well,
fire?
why are you like wanting to be fine-wined and dined when you're broken into someone else's house? Like, what if they come back?
The law in your town.
Yeah.
Like, what is this?
What
like,
the heck?
It's not enough that you're like making him do this at the sheriff's house.
Yeah.
Anyway, and I thought there was a freezer full of Jack Frost.
I did too, because
I saw the
nose.
There's the carrot.
Yeah.
I'm like, he's got to be in there, which is just brilliant. I love it, and it's like, but it creates such false tension as he ice picks that out.
Exactly.
And
Well, I was like, at first I was like, oh, maybe an ice pick will kill him because it's an ice pick and he's a snowman.
No, but
no.
Jack Frost does get in there and icicle him to death, but
Which is another thing. He can shoot icicles? What?
he doesn't really do that again as far as like launching them, but
Yeah, he doesn't launch them. But anyway, I was just like, ooh.
yeah. And then, but the guy does get a few shots in with the ice pick at least.
Yeah,
so
at
there's
least,
that.
and good for him. For at least
Right.
everyone else ran away. Like
Right.
he straight up like got up close and tried to pick him to death. But
So then the girl is upstairs and she sees a bath, and I'm like, oh, Jack Frost is like the water
thought
in
he-
there.
yeah.
And I was like, and she gets in it, and I'm like, so that bath is hot?
well, that's what I mean. Well, at
So it
first
was like maybe he could change his molecular structure. I thought maybe to like not steam, but like he was able to warm himself
Yeah.
up. Like I thought, oh, so he's got made it the perfect temperature
But she
to
also
lull her in. But that bath's been sitting there because it turns out he's not in the bathtub.
And also, she says thank you to the guy. I never saw him leave the kitchen in order to draw up the bath.
No, I don't know what internal logic she was operating on.
Yeah, and why would you take a bath not in your house, in the sheriff's house?
And she wanted a roaring log fire and a bottle of wine, not a hot bath. I don't.
And she had just finished blow drying her hair. Let's get it wet again. What?
Yeah, she gave herself a nice blowout right
Yeah.
there. I was just like, again, with the blow dryer. And I was like, so we're taking a bath in Jack Frost, change your genetics? I mean, and how in the world is that bath warm if it wasn't Jack? And it only got cold when he got in. And why am I looking for logic? I don't know. Anyway.
But you do see like the water creeping up to the bathtub. Well, you don't see it creeping, but you see like a line of water to the
And then
bathtub.
she's complaining about it getting cold.
Yep, and eventually it gets cold, and then
it freezes around her. And I'm like, oh, that's kind of funny. And then I thought maybe she'd just freeze to death or something, or like her face would go blue and like iced over. I was like, maybe it would be that. But no, Jack Frost has to reconstitute himself with her stuck inside him, and she's naked, and he's like got her trapped. And then he starts slamming her against the wall, and he's raping her, which is not okay.
No,
it's
and
not
at first,
funny.
Well,
it's
at
not
first
okay.
I just thought that he was like trying to kill her, but like bashing her head.
No,
and
and
the
he makes a
only
joke,
way-
and we can't say
Yeah,
it's
it's
just
like it's the one time where I'm just like, oh, that was so cringy.
Yeah,
It's like I just wish I could forget about that
no,
scene.
I know, because it's not good. It's not really even a joke. It's just not good.
And I tried to think about like the time when it was filmed and all
It
of
doesn't
that.
matter.
I know it
wasn't
doesn't.
funny
It
then,
doesn't
it's
matter.
not funny now. It's not okay.
And I completely agree with you, but it was
yeah.
more like
at the time they thought that was okay, and it wasn't.
Yeah,
it wasn't okay.
yeah, exactly.
Like,
they thought it was just another funny thing to like get people riled up, and it was just like, but we'll just pretend like that was never in there.
Yeah, we'll move on. Anyway.
I know it kind of hurts, but
So so at least blow dryers kind of hurt him until it becomes unplugged. We find out.
Yeah.
I'm not sure exactly why, because he can melt himself and reconstitute
it'd
himself
be a
at will.
puddle.
So why
And
this
also,
heat?
When he was a puddle the first time before he went in the car, it was like bubbling. So I was like, so is he like boiling water first? Did you notice that?
Well,
Or
it sounded like I wish they could play more with him like sublimating, because I thought like when the water like under the sink, I thought for a second it was like hot, like steam.
Yeah.
And I thought it was like, oh man, he's sublimating into steam. Like, oh my gosh, he could be anywhere.
I thought that at the end.
I thought that would be amazing. Like all of a sudden, like, yeah. And so then sheriff asked, or somebody asked if they have like aerosol cans. And so they do an aerosol like flame trap. Like basically they're gonna have these cans taped down, aerosol everywhere.
Yeah, well,
one match will.
we go back to the prison, and they're in
Yeah.
there, and like they're trying to lure Jack. They're wanting to explode him essentially.
Right, so they lure him to the cell block where they have all these aerosol
they get
cans,
all these
filling the place
aerosol
with
cans,
aerosols.
and then all of a sudden they get to the window to climb out, and the keys are all the way down the hall, and Mr. Sheriff is moving so slow
Through the fog,
to get
and I'm
the
just
keys.
like, okay, you deserve to die, Sheriff.
Exactly.
Like,
He's like,
oh my gosh.
And then once he
Yeah.
does, Paul is a prisoner in the jail. They were just gonna blow him up. They forgot all about that there was a guy in the jail.
They were running away from a killer snowman, and he was not obviously saying anything when they ran away
What?
from him. And then when he came back, he's like, he woke up. Maybe he'd been asleep, and
You
they just
can't
forgot
kill
about him.
Paul.
I know.
But
They get
still.
him out. I mean,
So anyway, they get out. Very, anxiety-driven scene.
there's decent tension.
Yeah, they get him out. They blow up the police station, and Jack still somehow can crystallize himself into snow.
I was like, oh, there's 20 minutes left in the movie. Well, this is
Exactly. I
the end.
did the same thing.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, okay, well that's not over.
Yeah, and then the scientist guy who's been hanging out with the FBI dude, the genetic research dude, says it means the soul exists and that the soul is a chemical. And I'm like, wow, this got metaphysical fast. I'm like, wow.
If the soul is a chemical, then I need to show the world this. It is, it was proof of the afterlife type thing.
Yeah, I was just like, whoa, okay.
Yeah.
That's an interesting conceit right there. And then all of a sudden we hear kind of a shaking, a rattling, a rumbling, and it's like a stampede of buffalo coming down the hill. I'm just like, okay.
Yeah.
And then, so then it's Jack Frost rolling into the place where they were gathered
and he
earlier.
was rambling he can't put himself back together fully, so he's like, I'm a Picasso.
I'm a Picasso.
And I was like, why are
this
you
movie-
holding yourself, but you can't
And
put
apparently
yourself...
it was like a T-1000 thing of he was kind of errored, he couldn't get himself together
himself
for a while
together
because
right
that
away?
explosion messed him up. I was like, that's kind of a nice touch that it kind of scrambled your molecules a
Yeah.
little bit. And he took a while to sort himself out.
And then everybody gets together and they decide to become a Western. There's a Western standoff.
Well, somehow they have a bunch of blow dryers.
Yeah, she was blow drying her shirt. So they go back, which it looks like it's the sheriff's station again, but it's not. It's town hall,
they're
right?
at the place where they gathered for the thing because there's the furnace
That's
in the
right.
basement. So basically, they're going to try to lure Jack into the furnace.
Into the furnace, and they're like, we have to bring him to us. And there's literally even down to the music, Western standoff. And then what happens? Jack turns himself into a giant snowball and bowls them over, and he
Right.
literally goes, the sheriff's starting to get punny right back with Jack, which I like.
Yeah.
And he was just like, you left a 7-10 split, and they blow dryer him.
And I love that the priest does the sign of the cross with the blow dryer. I was like, no! Oh, that's amazing.
So they're literally mounting him, and they
get him into the furnace,
get him into
yeah.
the furnace.
And wouldn't they just turn him into steam?
Well,
that was
that's
my
exactly. I
question.
saw the steam, and I was like, dude, I know the water cycle. I learned that in 3rd grade.
Right.
Come on.
And I love the dad tells his son, I'm the fastest blow dryer in the West.
Oh
I'm
my
like,
gosh.
oh my
And he
God.
does that stupid and then poof, magic, he's gone. But he said the same thing about the execution, and I was like, oh, that's really bad.
Yeah.
In the very beginning, he's like, no, he was executed. Well, what does that mean? That means, poof, he was gone, like magic. And I was like, ouch. That's in poor
I think
taste.
you want to soften the blow for your kid,
Yeah,
I guess.
and I get
of
that. But then he says it again, and I was like, that would be fine, because it was a murdering snowman. So, of course, it's like, poof, magic, he's gone.
Yeah, and of course that it didn't work. It just kind of he escaped via steam or whatever, and then he builds himself back up and confronts the snowman guy or the scientist guy, and says, "I can help you. How does it feel to be immortal? It feels cold."
I know.
And he
and
comes
that's
at the
where
guy.
He has icicle teeth, and the minute he says that, how does it feel to be a snowman? I just immediately in my mind just go, do you want to build a snowman? I immediately went to
man.
Olaf, and I was like, it's Killer Olaf.
That's pretty funny. And so the scientist guy walks out, and he's got a weird neck goiter thing going on, and he basically has the problem child 2 vomit hose going on of snow coming out of him. And so Jack Frost is back.
Can Jack Frost possess people then? Kind of? Put themselves... He reminded
See,
me...
the thing should have been he comes out of the guy, and the guy's skin just falls to the ground.
because we're made mostly of water. I thought...
that basically just hollowed him out. That would have been the joke there. But there's just no money for that.
Yeah.
Anyway.
But we find out that Jack's still alive, and then he ends up trapping the sheriff and the kid in the sheriff's car.
Yeah, and he's pouring through the vents as liquid, which is a nice touch.
And I don't understand why they didn't get out of the car to begin with. Jack freezes the locks once he's in there.
Yeah.
But before he's in there, he's just like, don't touch the water, son. And they're like,
what does that matter exactly?
Well, I was like, why don't you just get out of the car?
Well, at that point, again, they can't unlock the doors. They can't go out the back doors because those don't have handles or anything like that because it's a cop car.
Yeah.
And so he has to break out the window. Somehow that broke it out real easy.
With his foot? A kick?
And he was able to then smack Jack Frost with the bag of oats, which turns out, he asks his son what's in it, and the kid's like, well, I didn't want you to get cold, Dad, so I put antifreeze in them. The kid was trying to kill his dad. Don't eat the cookies.
Well, I was freaking out. And I I was like, that would have killed him.
Yes.
But apparently you can ingest a little bit of antifreeze and it doesn't kill you, which I did not know that.
But that was enough to melt Jack Frost.
That
so
is
I'm just
true.
Like,
Well, his
that was not.
face.
Right.
But still, no,
Your
I know,
dad, like,
I know.
You put poison in your dad's
But
oats.
he was
like,
trying to be nice. He didn't want him to get cold.
I'm just
Oh,
like,
that's
thank
messed up.
goodness you didn't eat that shit.
That is true.
Oh my gosh. Like.
That is true. But now we know that Jack can be destroyed with antifreeze.
And now we get metal Christmas music, which must be where Trans-Siberian Orchestra got the idea.
Oh, yeah.
It was around that same time when that album came out. But anyway, yeah, so take Jack out with a truck bed full of antifreeze along with a full immersion of the kid, because Jack's arm, even if they melt the snowman, the kid's like, what about his arm? And it's like, oh, it wraps around his head, and it's like, oh no, so he full immersions the kid into the antifreeze in the truck. I'm just like, kid, keep your mouth closed.
The reason why I looked at that, so before they're upstairs, the sheriff takes them into an apartment complex. Why? Because there's a bunch of people in an apartment complex to like lure Jack upstairs in order to get him into the truck of the antifreeze.
Right.
But two, so Jack stabs him.
And it's
he
essentially
says
the heart.
in the heart,
Yeah.
but it looks like it's in the
I
side.
was like, oh no, he's gonna sacrifice himself.
And it looks like he like passed out, but he must have been either acting or like came to when he heard the Christmas honk,
Right.
the or whatever. But he
Exactly 5 minutes, which I'm just like, how did he time this out?
right?
That's crazy.
But he jumps, like, the sheriff tumbles Jack into the bed of antifreeze with him, but he has an open flesh wound.
Yeah, he's
Wouldn't
been like, and he's technically
antifreeze.
still stabbed, which I was like, oh, that's gonna go all the way through. Like maybe he had like a bad wound, but now it's gonna be like a mortal wound.
But wouldn't the antifreeze get in his wound and
I
like
guess.
everything?
I mean,
and then
yeah,
at the
it's
end,
not
his like
good.
wife kisses him, and I'm like, he's got antifreeze on him. Like,
Yeah, it's I don't know. I haven't handled a lot of antifreeze, but I mean, you don't mess around with
I
it.
haven't either. Yeah.
You have to be careful with like around dogs, because dogs will drink it and not realize they're drinking poison.
Exactly.
It's like, I mean, you got to be super careful with that stuff. It's not like it's acid or sulfuric acid or something, but still. Yeah. And so then they bury him in cans of antifreeze.
Which, and they make sure, like, you see them, they make sure to, like, get every little bit of water off the tarp and into a thing of antifreeze. But I want to know, why were they deciding? So the rest of the FBI, CIA, whatever, genetic research people show up, and I guess they're going to decide not to tell them about it. They bury all this antifreeze. Why? The ground freezes. I was like, that is just, obviously it's split apart. Some parts may not have as much antifreeze. He didn't just straight up dissolve when he hit the antifreeze. He was alive for a while and struggling and
wrestling
wrestling.
a snow blanket, yeah.
So why? Why would you bury him?
I mean, if anything, you'd want to. I don't know. I mean, how much of him do you need? Like, do you need just a drop in the powder to like bring his soul back into like
I don't know.
everything? Like, I mean, how much liquid Jack does it take to bring him back?
Yeah, I don't.
And you'd want to have like a container here and a container there and a container like all over the place, just because you wouldn't want a chance for him to be able to completely reconstitute himself.
Exactly.
But again,
like
how
split
much,
it apart.
How much liquid soul do you need?
Well,
you
and
know,
also,
or
like, why
whatever.
not put it into a waterproof container and then put it in the ground
Like,
or
no,
something?
but
Like they
put
left
it
them
in,
in
put
the
it in the antifreeze, then put the antifreeze in like a thing, and then
Yeah.
a thing in the thing, and it's like a multiple like layer sandwich
And
of
then
like waterproofing. And
someone dig it back up thinking it's a time capsule, and then it's actually Jack Frost,
Right.
and there he goes to set up for Jack Frost 2.
Yeah, and so the antifreeze is like boiling at the end of the credits. So I'm like, so is he sublimating out of the antifreeze? Like, what is that supposed to mean?
He's a molecular genetic new thing that they know nothing about. So maybe that bottle of
Yeah.
antifreeze, you know what I mean, didn't have a lot of antifreeze in it. It had more Jack Frost water in it because they don't.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know.
But that's the movie, and we get the credits, and there's fun quotes through the credits if you didn't stay through them. I mean, there's like worst joke told by Sam Hill was one of them.
Yeah.
There's a special thanks to Idiot and Acts of Nature, Flash Flood, No Snow, High Winds.
That's the one that I saw at first. Well, I thought that they were song titles, and I was like, that's weird. Why are they putting song titles in the middle of like credit chunks? And then I really started to look at them. Jesse had watched it the day before or a few days before.
Yeah.
So he was like, make sure to look at the credits. And I'm like waiting for an end credit scene.
Oh, like a stinger? I'm
so
sorry.
No, you're fine. I'm glad that you did it that way. So I was sitting there and I was like, what is it? What does that say? What? And then I had to rewind in order to watch them all. So I'm glad that you did that, because I just would have been like, oh, there's just credit. Like, I've not paid any attention.
No worries, yeah. And then all credit cards provided by the director was one of the last.
Are you sure? I didn't see
yes.
that.
So that was way more fun than I thought it would be.
So good.
I really, the cringy bath scene aside, I mean, that movie was just straight up a good time.
Yes, it was.
Yeah, I mean, fantastic. And those were our thoughts on Jack Frost. And here's your clue for our first post-holiday episode of the Grindhouse.
Clucifer here. Your clue for the next film is the kids aren't all right.
Thanks, Clucifer. Let us know in the comments what you think the next movie we're going to review will be. And for the Library Grindhouse, I'm Jesse.
And I'm Leah.
And we'll see you next time.
Bye.